Well, welcome to another episode of The Non-Expert Vegan. I haven't made a video in a little while and just had a couple of subjects on my mind that I wanted to make an episode of and about. And the first thing is products that you're looking for while you're on your journey to your better diet, to like an alkaline, vegetarian, and ultimately vegan diet. I know everybody's got to find their own journey. For me, it has been vegan. I've recently become a vegan within the last 2 months. I guess it was like beginning of November, I think it was. So now we're into January 2018, January 16 to be exact. So the two subjects I want to address on this in my journey are things that people routinely talk about that were technically not all 100% anything, in this case vegan. So that's all well understood. Nothing's perfect. By the same token, you can definitely pay attention to the labels and get products that are vegan. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you get a little bit lazy, and I'm going to use this product as an example, this Maranatha peanut butter, which I won't be buying again. It's organic, it's delicious, it tastes good. But I'll be talking about the ingredients. So that's the first subject I want to bring up is the ingredients in here. I was too lazy to look at, and I just kind of brushed it aside. And so that's the first subject I want to talk about, is not being lazy when it comes to buying products. That you want to just remember that even though nothing is completely 100%, but don't use that as an excuse to be lazy sometimes like I did with this, If you eat something that's not exactly what you should be, don't beat yourself up over it. But on the other hand, like I said, just recognize that you don't want to continue that. So that's the first subject. The second subject I want to discuss, and I don't have a prop here for it, is the Beyond Meat burger. I work in a grocery store, and I forgot to check, which I'll do it tomorrow, and look at the salt content in regular hamburger patties in the meat aisle. Because I went online to look at the salt content in meat patties, because after having the Beyond Meat burger, which I love, I think it's really a decent to good product, except, well, it depends on your criteria also. But just talking about the salt criteria is mainly the issue here for me, from my second subject making this video. The salt content's too high. It's way too high, I think. And I went online and I was looking at the salt content per patty or per serving in just like regular meat patties that you would buy in the meat aisle, and it's something like 80 milligrams of sodium. Well, if you buy the Beyond Meat burgers, you're familiar with them then, the packaging. It's packaged and marketed almost for meat eaters too. Packaging looks like a meat package. It's really cool, and it's a good tasting product. But there's 450 milligrams per serving, so it's per patty. That I saw you get 2 patties per package of the Beyond Meat burger. And they taste great. And if your criteria, like I said, we're talking about salt, if that's your criteria for gauging a product, then this product is really not good. I mean, it's good up until that point, and then that's its huge fault. If you are, it depends on what kind of a follower or diet person you are with your behavior. If you're into Dr. Sebi's diet, then you're not going to want to eat this. That's a whole other subject, because and an interesting one at that, because as I've started to learn more about people like the late Dr. Sebi, herbalist, they really gear towards non-hybrid foods. So you're limited to that, which can sound kind of daunting, but also interesting, because if you go to his nutritional guide, there's a challenge to it too, which I think is kind of cool because it still gives you a lot of options even in that semi, whatever, limited nutritional guide. It's interesting, and people make all kind of recipes. So if you're going by that, if that's your criteria for your diet, which is, I think it's a good one because I haven't totally disciplined myself and limited myself to those only products, but I think it's actually a great guide for somebody's diet, non-hybrid foods. Then if you're following that, then you're not going to want to eat any kind of, this would be off the radar. It would be a no good option for people who are following the Dr. Sebi diet because it's pea protein, and I don't remember all the ingredients, but if you look them up online, peas are one of the things that are not on that nutritional guide. So sticking to more of a general diet guideline thing, because like I said, I'm not completely on Sebi's diet. I veer off as far as I still eat some foods that would be considered hybrid, and it's something that I'm kind of transitioning to, and I did that with veganism. I first went alkaline, and I was still eating chicken and fish for a while. Then I started to question myself and say, hey, you know what, I think I'm leaning towards getting that out of my system, meat and dairy, and I base that on casual reading and video watching about the things that are medical conditions that are associated with meat and dairy, So this is kind of the same thing. If you are wanting to eat better things and you might not be on Sebi's diet, also consider the salt content though. This is something that I still grapple with because I'll get things like salsa, and they have a lot of salt per serving. Even the homemade salsa, my store's homemade brand of salsa, so-called homemade, there's still too much salt per serving. Like there's like 16 servings in a little container, and the salt content per serving, even if it doesn't look that high, if you eat that whole container because it's not very big, you're getting way too much salt in one sitting. That's the way the Beyond Meat burger is. It's way too much salt in one sitting. And I emailed them a couple times. I'm going to have to check my mail, but I don't think they're giving me any response. And why would they really? I mean, I think I would guess that their sales are doing well and people really like it. Because, I mean, I tried their burgers. They're delicious. Now they have something out, they're total plant burgers, total plant protein. Good things about them is that they're non-GMO, they're non-soy, and they're non-gluten. You can't say that about the Impossible Burger, And so what I'm getting at is, transitioning to better diets. You might use some of these foods as stepping stones to get where you're going, because it's a constant progression and journey. But do yourself a favor and don't overdo some of these products that are vegan or plant, but that are, maybe too processed. I don't know if I'd call the Beyond Burger too processed, but it's got too much salt. I tried the Impossible Burger a couple times. It's delicious, but is it really that healthy? I don't think it's totally healthy. It's better than a meat alternative. But again, if you're looking towards getting starches out of your diet and wheat and gluten and soy, then the Impossible Burger is not something you really want to eat all the time, because the Impossible Burger is made up of potatoes, soy. Soy is no good for you. I used to eat soy, and at some point probably still do without knowing it, but a lot of these bars that you get, nutritional bars, they have soy protein isolate. It's supposed to be no good for you. Sometimes it might say organic. I don't know if that's any better. Soy is really not good for our systems. I don't know about males, but I think in females they connect it to cancer. So I don't see why it wouldn't be a health hazard to males. And I think it messes with male hormones too. I'm not completely sure about that. I just know that or think I know that soy it's not the greatest option for you. The best soy that I think I've eaten is Tempeh, because they say it's fermented. You get fermented organic, and that's supposed to be better than GMO soy. So you have to kind of gauge these things. So I worked in my second subject, a little first before the second one, when I was talking about the Beyond Burger. So consider that when you're searching that out. The Beyond Burger might be worth trying. I think they even have a Beyond Sausage out too. It's supposed to be delicious. But if you try these products, be a person perhaps that go to their website. If you're concerned about salt, email them like I did and say, hey, why is your patties so high in salt content? It doesn't need to be. They don't even really need to use salt. I think if somebody's going to use salt, and I suggested to them, maybe use sea salt, but just a little bit, or don't even use salt at all. Use spices. You guys probably know that when you go out in the grocery store, you can buy Mrs. Dash. That's salt-free. You can use spices. So in these burgers, it's always, with any product, it should be about getting better. Getting something better for your system. So even though I did say, well, they're not going to get back to me, which I don't think they did with a response, but the more that people respond, and then maybe it causes them not to buy their products, you never know. If they still want to sell that product and sales go down, well, they might drop the salt content, but that's only upon consumer response. So that's just, an obvious tip. So I'll end the video on this and try to be brief. But this peanut butter that I bought, I got lazy with reading ingredients, and I have to use a magnifier. But as I look in the ingredients in here, it says organic peanuts, organic palm oil, which palm oil I don't think is the greatest for you. Oils in general I think should be used sparingly. Evaporated milk, so canned evaporated milk. I'll stop right there. And if you're a vegan, you don't want to be eating any kind of milk. I eventually finished this peanut butter, but I will not buy it again. I have other peanut butter in the fridge that's just 100% peanuts, and that's it. That's all it says in the ingredients, nothing else. There's too much salt. In the 100% peanut butter, there was no salt. Let me see, sodium content in this. It's hard for me to read. I think it says 65 milligrams per serving. Well, per serving, there's 14 servings per container. So serving size is little. It's a small portion. So that's just the two things I wanted to touch on. Pay attention to your ingredients. Try not to get something that you should know better is not that great for you. I won't be buying this again. Shouldn't have bought it in the first place, but that's okay. And so that's number one. Number two, evaluate the Beyond Burger and Beyond Meat company for yourself. Compare it to meat, which I know you don't want to be eating if you're vegan, but just compare the salt content, because meat is way less. I won't be eating meat. I am vegan, and I'm going to stay that for the rest of my life. The only way I will get something in that is animal related is if I do something lazy like this, because there was evaporated milk, or if there's a mix-up. I've been out to eat with a group of people, and my food got mixed up with somebody else, and I had a meat product. I had a meat burger. I ordered that happened to me one time, and I ordered a portobello sandwich. But that's the only way. The only ways that I will, and this, being lazy, is easy to correct. Mix up sometimes, that's rare, whatever. So what I'm getting at, being long-winded, is I know you're not going to a meat product, but just compare the sodium content to burgers. That's what I did online. I'm going to look at the grocery store when I go tomorrow. So until next time, this is the non-expert vegan, recent vegan, just last 2 months. So if you like this, if it's informative at all to you, subscribe and share. Thanks.